Welcome to my Ford C4 drag race transmission build. This is going to be going in my stock Eliminator Mustang that I race, but all this stuff can be utilized in a Saturday night bracket car. I'm not going to go over the whole rebuild of every seal and everything in it. This is mainly the modifications that I do for drag racing. This series of videos is going to consist of case modifications and a pump modification, rollerizing the transmission, welding up the jelly bean holes, 292 gear set, a valve body and pan and filter, governor kit that I put in it, clutch packs and associated parts there, and some of the lightweight parts I use in my transmission. First thing I'm going to start off with is pulling the rear bearing out of the case. I made a special tool for doing this, so it only takes a couple of pieces that I made in the mill and 2 9/16 wrenches. I do this so I can do it anywhere. I don't have to use a press to do it because there's not a lot of flat spots, and able to support the whole case when you do this. So it just comes out nice and easy. Now the bushing's out. While I have this bushing out, I'm going to drill out the line coming back from the cooler, and it lubes the number 9 thrust bearing and also that bearing that I just pulled out. And so I'm going to drill this passage out to 3/16 in here and all the way into where that bearing just came out. So now you're going to want to clean out this case of all your metal chips. While I'm showing this, there is also a lube hole that goes to the number 9 thrust washer in the back. There's a small hole in there, and I'm going to drill it out to an 1/8 inch. I will show you a picture of inside the case of where that's at. This is the number 9 lube hole that I drilled out to an 1/8 inch right here. I also put a notch in with a cutoff wheel on each side of the hole there to help with the lube going to the one-way clutch. Okay, now I'm going to pull this bearing back in with the same tool I just took the bushing out with. So just redoing it in reverse here. There, the bushing is back in. Okay, we're going to talk about the number 9 roller thrust bearing that goes in the rear of the transmission. There is a kit by Broder Performance that puts a roller Torrington bearing in the back of the case, and it consists of just a few parts: a little spacer, a Torrington bearing, and a washer that the Torrington bearing rides on, and a one-way clutch hub that has been shortened and is basically shortened the difference between the thickness of the roller bearing and the washer that goes with it, and the difference between that and the stock number 9 thrust washer that goes in the back. And the reason for this kit is during acceleration, all the internals go towards the back of the transmission, puts lots of load in number 9, and there's 2 tangs on it, and it shears off those tangs. And after it shears off the tangs, then it can spin, and then it wears away the back of the case and just makes a mess out of the aluminum in the back of the case. So this kit goes in. There is this spacer here, goes right in the back of the case over top of this hub. It's kind of a little bit of a press fit, usually heated up and just pounded on with a brass punch. And then the roller bearing goes, the washer and the roller bearing go on over top of it. Then when you assemble the one-way clutch, it rides against the roller bearing. This is what the spacer looks like installed in the case, to the back of the case. Then here is how the washer goes around that spacer, flat on. And then the Torrington roller bearing goes like that. Then you assemble your one-way clutch and bolt it down, and that's how it sits. The bearing numbers for those, the bearing and the spacers, are NTA 3244 and TRA 3244. And you can get those eBay, Amazon, whatever. They're only a couple bucks. I made this whole kit for just a couple bucks, but it's probably a lot easier to buy Jay's kit because the one-way clutch hub is hardened, and to shorten it, it takes some time to shorten it and the right piece of equipment to shorten it. So that's everything on the number 9 thrust washer roller kit. My next case modification is I drill out all the pan rail bolts in a heli coil, because this is a 45-year-old transmission, so I never know really what condition the threads are in. And last thing I want to do is be underneath the car, drilling and heli coiling out one bolt with tranny fluid dripping on me. So at this stage, I can drill out all 12 of them, put heli coils in faster than I can probably drill one out underneath the car with tranny fluid dripping on me. So it doesn't take me very long to do this. One of the things that I did to make it easier to drill the hole straight up and down is my pan. I bolt my pan on, then I found this tubing insert at the hardware store the other day that fits inside my size of my bolts, the size of my bolt holes in the pan, and is just a little bit bigger than the drill bit I have. That way I can keep the drill it straight up and down, perpendicular bolt directions towards the pan rail to have them straight, and drill them out, tap them, heli coil them, and all done with that then, so I don't have to worry about stripping out pan rail bolts. This is our pump modification. What we're going to do here is remove a check ball and a spring out of a passage that is in the cooler circuit, so we can get more flow through the cooler and to the back of the transmission for lube. The best way to find the spot that you need to drill out is follow your cooler passage here, from here out the front pump. Have your front pump in there and find the hole that it lines up with. Take your pump apart and find the passage to it, and you'll find this one. Then the best way to do this, there is a 1/4 inch aluminum ball that is swedged into the housing. And the best way to do this is drill it out, put a screw in it, and use 2 heel bars and pop it out. This one didn't have any check ball or a spring in it, so all I had to do was drill this out to the size for an 1/8 inch pipe tap, tap the housing, and run the plug down. And you need to tap the housing far enough so when you run your pipe plug down, it's below this surface. And that's it for this.